Never
it's
just
happening.
follow the crowd. Always make up your own mind. It is now up to Donald Trump to earn the votes of those in our party and beyond it who did not support him. And I hope he does that. At its best, politics is about bringing people into your cause, not turning them away. And our conservative cause badly needs more people. This is now his time for choosing. I end my campaign with the same words I began it, from the book of Joshua. I direct them to all Americans, but especially to so many of the women and girls out there who put their faith in our campaign. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for God will be with you wherever you go. In this campaign, I have seen our country's greatness. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, America. God bless you.
Okay, so I was just preparing for my morning daily brief, and I saw this, and I was like, "Whoa! It's actually happening." Nikki Haley suspended her campaign. I got a chance to vote for her, so I'm not bitter. I'm sad that she's exiting the stage here. So it looks like Trump has locked it up at this point. Yeah, I mean that's where we are. Okay. Wow. All right. Well, while I'm at that, let me just get into, because I was just about to get into the actual daily brief as I saw that as I was preparing. So here's where I was going to start. 1250 off the battlefield, 21 tanks, 40 armored vehicles, 56 fuel tanks. This is telling me that the action on the front is pretty significant. Plus one warship, and we talked about that significantly yesterday. Ukraine destroyed 38 out of 42 drones. That number seems a little high, and they went and targeted the western side of Ukraine. The attack comes 5 days after the drone strike on an apartment complex in Odessa early on Saturday morning, partially destroyed several floors, killing more than a dozen people. So this particular strike went and hit out in the west. Ukraine's air defenses shot down most of the drones launched by Russia in its latest wave of strikes at its territory, but the attack still left thousands of people without electricity. So why this number? Why 40 some odd? It was 42 drones. Because the other day we saw only 5. And it seems like Russia's either running low or they're just using a few to amass more for a huge strike somewhere else. But I think after the sinking of the ship, this was a retaliatory response by 42 as opposed to 5 or 10 or 15. That's just my observation. I could be completely wrong about this, but that's how I'm processing. The ICC issues arrest warrants for top Russian commanders. We're going to come back to that in just a little bit. I want to show you something about that. First time use of high-tech French hammer bomb used by Ukraine. Hammer bomb is apparently the high agility modular munition extended range hammer bomb. Okay, so somebody's getting paid for putting the acronyms together, but it's apparently similar to the US JDAM. So it's a pretty significant bomb, and it's already been deployed. Car bomb killed a woman who was a member of the Moscow-installed local election commission in the Russian-occupied city of Verdansk. A handmade explosive device planted under the driver's seat of the vehicle detonated, severely injuring the woman. Okay, so that has happened before quite a few times. It will continue to happen. I can't see any scenario where this doesn't increase rather than decrease until the war is over. Incidentally, I looked this up because I knew that there was something to this. How many IEDs in Afghanistan? 1,790 troops died from IEDs in Iraq and 828 in Afghanistan. This means that 48.7% of total military deaths between 9 September 2011 and 9 October 2020. So within about a decade, 50% or so of the deaths were from IEDs. That's pretty significant. Now, there's something else also that's significant here, and that is look at how many deaths. So if 50% is 1,790 troops is about 50% of the deaths in Afghanistan. That means that you have, what, less than 4,000 killed in action? Now, you have plenty of casualties as well, but 4,000. That's over a decade in Afghanistan. And we were like, you know what? This has been too long. This has been so, 20 years in Afghanistan. Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty small amount of deaths. Now, so even if you expand that, double it, triple it, whatever it is, even compare that to what's going on in Ukraine right now with roughly 350 to 400,000 killed and wounded in just 2 years. It's mind-boggling to see the difference. Okay. Nikki Haley, I was going to show that Nikki Haley at least won Vermont last night. Yeah, so wow, that was something that we just started. I was just looking at articles and saw that video and went, wow. Okay. Donald Trump leading with 995 delegates to 89 of Nikki Haley's delegates, but it doesn't matter at this point because Nikki dropped out. Nikki Haley to end presidential campaign. Well, it was going to be to end. It's predicted that she would, and she just did. Meanwhile, the Republicans seem to have just embraced Trump full-throatedly. Laura Trump, the newly nominated co-chair of the RNC, says anyone who doesn't support Trump is welcome to leave. Well, we're welcome to leave, but where do we go? Like, the Democrats wouldn't have me. I'm telling you, like some of you said, no, you sound more like a Democrat. No, for all the other policy reasons, the Democrats wouldn't have me. So where do I go? I'm left with nowhere. That's part of the reason I'm such a great fit for this. There's no one more loyal to Donald Trump than the person you're looking at right here. Well, that's not really why you should be there. You should be there because you embrace conservative values, and that's what we're going to be missing. Okay, so I just showed you how Nikki Haley suspended her 2024 bid. I don't even know what to say to that. And meanwhile, Joe Biden won pretty much all of his contests. He did lose in American Samoa, which means nothing, but it's just like this little tiny little island out in the Pacific. That's a U.S. territory. That's not a state. But means nothing. It means that essentially we're going to see a rerun of the 2020 Trump versus Biden ticket. That's what's about to happen here. Okay, meanwhile, for those playing at home, Ukraine has now destroyed around 20% of Russia's Black Sea fleet. And that was in February 1st. And the hits kept coming. So this is a dated picture. But you know what happened yesterday. So on March 5th, Ukraine's military intelligence stated they attacked the Russian patrol ship Sergei Kotov. And then we got down to the bottom here, and I thought this was interesting. This is the third Russian Black Sea Fleet vessel sunk in the past 5 weeks, likely because the Black Sea Fleet losses on February 15th, the Black Sea commander, Admiral Viktor Sokolov, was dismissed. Wait a minute, Sokolov, we just talked about Sokolov over here with the ICC arrest warrant for top commanders. And on the day when Ukraine sank a Russian warship, Russian president was very curious about tomato production. That is indeed important. Maybe he hasn't told the news about the warships. Well, I'm sure he's eventually getting the news about the warships, but it's an interesting juxtaposition to have him looking at tomatoes. Okay, finally, Russian warships just mysteriously disappear here, as do planes. And we'll talk about why in a very different video about why planes keep disappearing. That's all that I have. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.